So Vagrant Story is an RPG game that has like action game combat, kind of. It's still turn-based, sort of, but essentially the way this game works is it came out in like 1999 or 2000 or something. But the way it works is you choose an enemy, you attack it, and if you want to, you can, you have like 3 buttons that you can press. Each one will create like a chain attack, and if you do that, you do more damage. Obviously, you can have some sort of like special effect on your follow-up attack, but as you do more follow-up attacks, you build up risk, and as you build up risk, the odds of you hitting go down, but the odds of you getting a critical hit go up. Basically, the character's called Risk Breakers, and the entire game is centered around this idea of, is it worth to try and get another hit on your opponent. Love this game. I love Vagrant Story. It's like, I couldn't play it when I was a kid. I was too stupid. I played it semi-recently as an adult, and immediately I was like, this is one of the best games I've ever played. It just immediately goes on like the top 10 list, If you count all of the Souls games as just one game, it goes up to like top 5 easy. So I made a build that sort of, I made a build that was sort of like a Risk Breaker cosplay in Dark Souls 2. But in Elden Ring, I can actually sort of use all these weapons that have multi-hits, and they're risky. It's risky to go for that multi-hit, but you have all these buffs that you can slap on, and if you do that, then, might be worth it. You might proc a huge buff and, do a bunch of damage. And so the build actually kind of works in Elden Ring. It didn't really work in Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 3. I had Risk Breaker characters, but they, just the name pretty much. In this game, however, like this risky fighting style actually is a thing that you can do. And you're going to see me like proccing a lot of buffs for multi-hits as the video goes on. And we're using Millicent's prosthesis, as well as the Royal Sword Insignia, I believe is what it's called. And, now that I say that out loud, I don't know that that's right. We're using 2. One of them is for sure the one you get from Millicent's quest. I think it's her prosthesis, which is like the bad ending. And then the Rotted Sword Insignia, is that what it's called? Stacks with that. And then on top of that, you've got the Wondrous Physic that also has that buff. Damage increases for as long as attacking continues. So we've got all this huge damage potential from just, regular types of weapons. All the promotional material for Vagrant Story, the main character is like using a curved sword. So I default to the curved sword. And it also gives me a chance to play with curved swords because, I typically use straight swords. But curved swords are actually really fun in this game. And sort of in the same vein as straight swords, where like in Dark Souls 3, straight swords and curved swords were like super, super good, really, really strong. And in this game, they're just kind of okay. Both of them improve dramatically if you dual wield them. If you dual wield curved swords, they become dramatically better. If you dual wield straight swords, they become dramatically better. But just having one is sort of, not that great. We've got the Serpent Bone Katana because it has the multi-hit on the heavy attacks. It inflicts poison, and it's got that Honest Rivers style Ash of War. We're using the War Talon for the straight sword, and it's got Royal Knight's Resolve on it, which increases damage on both hits of a heavy attack. Not just one, but both, which is pretty good. But the first hit on that attack doesn't do a lot of damage. That's the case for most of these. The first hit doesn't do a lot of damage. It's the follow-up hit that has like all the damage on it. But it's still enough to proc that buff, and that's basically giving us a free buff for using an attack that's pretty good. The War Talon heavy attack is actually pretty good, and the charged version of it is very nice for catching rolls, people panicking, things like that. I was using the short spear on this build because the heavy attack of the short spear is like a double poke. And then I just switched it up, and I went and grabbed just the spear, just because I like the way it looked. And we've got repeating thrusts on that. We're using the pulley crossbow, but we have to use it. I don't use it like in the offhand, because in Vagrant Story you can't use crossbows in your offhand. You have to use them in like your main hand. You're basically two-handing crossbows in that game. So that's how I use them. But I think that's pretty much it. Oh, a flail. I got a flail, because no one ever uses them. And I suspect that they're going to get buffed, because way too much time and effort went into animating those flails. And I know that they're not going to leave them... They're not very good right now. And I know they're not going to leave them bad, because they put too much work into them for them to be bad. So I suspect they'll get a buff at some point, and then I'll be able to say, I was using them before they got a buff. Not that it matters. But we've got Warcry on that, and that turns the heavy attack into like this combo chain with 3 attacks. The first 2 hits are a true combo, I believe. And we're using the Night Cavalry Flail, so it's got like a bleed build-up on it as well. Carrying Retaliation, of course. Don't leave home without it. And, man, I think... Oh, we've got the Knight's Greatsword, but I don't think I use it very much. It also has Warcry, but I think I'm gonna put it back to being Troll's Roar. It's just so nice to have Troll Roar on your build for, like, if you have to go up or down an elevator and you're pretty sure the people are waiting for you at the top or at the bottom of the elevator. It's obviously not as good as, like, having Moog's Spear and, you know, using that, but, you know, not every build can use Moog's Spear, but pretty much every build can have Troll's Roar on something. Is that it? Is that all the weapons? I think that's all the weapons. I tested something out just to be sure. I tried to use Exalted Meat, or whatever the heck it's called, Exalted Flesh, to see if it would stack with the buff. But that Exalted Flesh buff dissipates as soon as you proc the multi-hit buff. So you can, if you wanted to, you could, you know, open up with that buff, but then that buff is gone the moment you proc the multi-hit. But yeah, this is another one of these things where they have, you know, the idea of, yeah, you do more damage the more you attack. You gain health back the more you attack. These are things that have existed in these games before, but they were just kind of like, meh, not good, why would you ever use it? And now it's actually pretty good. You're going to see, like, some pretty insane damage numbers. And I'm typically not like a burst damage type of player, but for this type of build, it's too good to pass up. But this fight right here, we're using the flail after we've procced poison with the serpent bone katana. So we've got like the threat of poison and then the threat of bleed, and you know, that's pretty nasty. And then look at the hyper armor on the flail with the Warcry. It's solid. Warcry heavy attacks get solid hyper armor on pretty much every weapon I've tried with them. And yeah, the flail with Warcry is really not that bad. When you give something that much hyper armor and true combos, it's hard for it to be bad. All the music in this video is from Vagrant Story. It was a PlayStation 1 game. It's available, you can play it on the PlayStation 3. If you have, I don't know if you can still access the PlayStation 3 store or not. If you can find a way to still access it. They try and close it down all the time, and then they never actually close it down. If you can still access it, you can download Vagrant Story on your PS3 and play it there. I don't know the rules and legality when it comes to saying, quote, you should emulate a game, so I won't say, I don't know if that, you know what I mean? If it would be wrong to say that, then I would never say it, ever. But if it's not wrong to say it, then I think someone has to. And that someone is me. So, yeah. But no, you should definitely play Vagrant Story. I hope at some point, like, they're doing a remaster of Tactics Ogre, which was the first game that Matsuno made. And then they're doing a remaster of Final Fantasy Tactics as well. So I hope, you know, they decide to do a remaster of Vagrant Story. Because this game, I'm telling you, like, if you like JRPGs and you like Souls, if you play Vagrant Story, it will absolutely blow your mind how it's essentially like a PlayStation 1 era Souls game. And that I am well aware of Kingsfield. But like, you know, you have damage types in Vagrant Story. You know, you have blunt damage, pierce damage, and slash damage. You can make your own weapons. You can mix and match weapons. And you know, it's just so much fun. And you know, your damage types are important, like they matter in that game. And yeah, it's just great. Which was another reason that we have a spear and a flail and we have all those different damage types, just to sort of pay homage to that. But yeah, the game itself is great. I can't speak highly enough of it, and I hope at some point they make it available for people to play, because it's too good to just be stuck. And it's one of those games that was like, you know, kind of like a cult classic. You know, everybody who's played it knows, but not enough people have played it, and that's a shame. But you know, here's your reminder: play Vagrant Story. And thanks for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. This is the last invasion here. And yeah, well, after this, you'll have a moment of zen, which we could all, you know, we all need a moment. Sometimes it's nice to just have a nice moment, and you'll get that at the end of this video. I appreciate you watching it. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, here's the Vagrant Story build, and here's a video for it. I'm getting through my backlog, baby. Let's go. Alright, I will see you next time. Until then, later, y'all.